It's Monday, March 6th, 2023, and this is episode 278 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, a podcast for the recreational gambler. I'm Mark Duvall.
And I'm Dr. Mike.
Dr. Mike, how you doing over there in Minnesota? Staying
Very
warm?
Good. How about you guys in California? Aren't you drowning?
It's been actually pretty nice here. You know, we haven't suffered like a lot of the people, who have been snowed in and things like that. Although we did have a hailstorm earlier this week. That's the biggest hailstorm I've ever seen here, having lived here. It just went on for a long time and piled up quite a bit. So, yeah, it's a little unusual, but the weather's actually very nice today. So
Good. Yeah, we're expecting some wintry mix starting tonight for a couple days.
what does that mean, a wintry mix?
Well, kind of snow, and then it'll be sleet, and then it might be rain, and then it's back to snow. And
Okay, so just a cycle.
in other words, a mess.
Yeah, good for driving conditions.
Yes, right.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. A topic that's come up on our show a few times is double-deck blackjack games being dealt from a shoe. And we thought that was kind of strange. Usually double decks are pitch games, and we were trying to figure out why casinos would move to a shoe. Listener Mark did a little investigating for us. He went to Horseshoe Bossier City to see if he could get an answer. I'll just read what he said here. One answer was that they speculated that it prevented people from cheating because the players couldn't hold the cards. I'm personally not confident that's the reason. Yeah, that doesn't seem like a good reason to me, too, because if cheating's the problem, well, that's an issue with single decks, right? Any pitch game, right? Where people hold the cards. And, okay, I guess it's easier to cheat when you can hold the cards versus them being dealt face up. But, that's been around for years. Plus, I don't know if there's a reason why you couldn't do a double deck game handheld where the cards are dealt face up. I don't think there's anything magical about, if it's from a shoe, it has to be face up, and if it's a pitch game, it has to be face down. I don't know if there are legal reasons or anything like that, but I don't know why a handheld game couldn't also be dealt face up. So anyway, he asked another employee at the casino, and again, reading his email, the best and most plausible answer was the last one I got. They said it had to do with staffing. Since COVID, they haven't had adequate staffing, especially in dealers certified to deal handheld blackjack. Swing shift was hurt especially hard. In the end, not great answers, which leads me to believe they didn't tell the staff the real reason. They do still have one designated table for pitch, but it's a $100 minimum. So yeah, that explanation is a little better, but gosh, I mean, how hard is it? If you've gone to dealer school, if you're dealing, you think you'd know how to deal handheld or shoe. I don't know.
Well, I mean, it is a little different handheld because you have to be coordinated with those cards in your hand, not to drop them or expose another card.
Sure.
Or,
I mean, it's true.
Stuff like that.
I'm just thinking if you've become a dealer, you would have been trained in that or whatever. But again, he's talking about staffing. If you're having trouble finding people, maybe that is a reason.
So you're thinking that people get trained in a job and then they're really good at it.
Yeah.
Okay. How old are you, Mark?
Coming up on 27. I'll be 27 this year. So, yeah.
That explains.
Looking forward to that. Still in my 20s for a little while. So, yeah. Anyway, if anybody does have any more information about why some double deck games are now in shoes, let us know.
It's probably one of those things you'll never find the answer to.
No. Maybe you hired an investigative reporter. Maybe if some local news station really made it their goal to get to the bottom of it. Maybe
you're just going to get some investigative reporter murdered, Mark.
Right. Either that or they'll just go back to pitch games and we'll never know why. Right? It'll be lost to a big mystery.
It's hidden somewhere in the J. Edgar Hoover's files somewhere.
Right. It's very important, but we're never going to tell you why. All right, well, on our last episode, we got a call from Nathan, who was confused as to how he got a pretty good offer from Venetian when he's never played at Venetian before. And that kind of sparked a conversation about do casinos share information with each other about players, which I think is unlikely. But Mike, you had been told by hosts that this does happen. If that is the case, is that legal? Anyway, we got an email from Ian who had something similar happen to him. He said, I'm a recreational gambler and usually play at relatively low stakes, so I rarely get much attention from the players' clubs. This past December, I had a monster session at an independent casino in Vegas where I ended up winning a bunch of money, about $8,000. A host contacted me and told me that they had me down for $500 a hand and basically wanted to know when I would be back. I came back in early January and played similarly large, and this time lost similarly large. Again, host contacted me and showed me some love. I got back to Florida, where I live, and by mid-January, Caesars was sending me a lot of incentives. $300 gift card offer, $300 free play, etc. I logged into my Caesars account and was able to book a room at Nobu, that's at Caesars Palace, over a weekend for free, which has never happened before. I'm also getting Caesars Air and M-Life offers to go to Biloxi and Atlantic City for free. The thing is, I haven't played at a Caesars property for years. I used to be Diamond, but I got that through status matching. I also got the 3 free nights at Venetian offer that caller Nathan was talking about. I have literally never gambled at Venetian. So yeah, either these properties are suddenly flush with cash and wanting to give it away, or someone's sharing info somewhere. So what do you think, Dr. Mike?
Well, it sounds like they're sharing info. If he was at an independent casino.
Yeah.
And then shortly after that, he's getting all these offers from, well, Venetian, a place he's never played at.
Well, I'll tell you we're going to have a call a little bit later that might shed some light on this Venetian situation.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you know, is it just coincidence? Is it just timing? It does seem a little odd. And, you know, is this happening to a lot of people?
Yeah, it could be timing. Well, after our last podcast, I emailed you a thing that I got from Venetian.
Yeah, that's funny. Almost right after we recorded our last podcast, you got something from Venetian. And oh my gosh.
The very next day.
When's the last time we were at Venetian, Mike? Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah. What does that mean? I don't know.
Well, if anybody has inside information, let us know. But again, I don't know why a casino would want to share player information. You were speculating that it gets them into town. It gets them, into Las Vegas. But making offers on your own, if you're a casino, will get people to Las Vegas. It's not like handing out this information to other casinos will make it more likely for people to come into Vegas, or maybe it will. Maybe somebody's more likely to come in if they're getting tons of offers from a lot of places. I don't know.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out there. What if it's not a casino thing, but a Vegas marketing thing for the, Chamber of Commerce in Vegas?
I mean, it's possible,
to spread information around to get, casinos to send stuff out.
But again, how are they getting the information?
Yeah,
it doesn't seem like...
see, that's all in the J. Edgar Hoover file.
Oh, okay, so we won't find out.
We will not have access to,
Right. Yeah, because it's buried along with him, along with the reason why they have double-deck shoe games now.
That stupid Freedom of Information Act.
Well, wait a minute. If it's a stupid... I don't understand. It's
stupid because it says you have freedom to information, but you don't.
Oh, I see. It's just, that's a hoax. There's no such thing. It's a scam.
They just say that so you think you have information to find out all these hidden secrets about casino gambling, but no.
All right. Well, like I said, we're going to have a call here about the Venetian offer in particular. I think is kind of interesting. So let's move on for now. We got an email from listener Raji. He's heading to Vegas this week with some friends. He says, here's my question, and it's for Dr. Mike, because I know Mark wouldn't choose a random bet amount on a feeling. For whatever reason, I've got the number 22 in my head. Could have something to do with my Taylor Swift-obsessed daughter who plays her music constantly. So I'm calling this the 22 trip. As a math lover who realizes that mathematically driven odds and non-mathematical randomness create the sweet combination of casino gambling, I'll be betting on the 22 at roulette and may also find myself betting $22 total on the hardways, $5 on each hardway for myself, and then $2 tip for the dealers. So, Dr. Mike, I'm sure you have a pattern for your hard ways bets, horn bets, place bets, etc. But do you ever simply change to a different number because of maybe a number that kept showing up in your daily life? I know it makes zero sense, but I follow the fun factor in Vegas as opposed to the smart sense factor. What do you got, Dr. Mike?
Well, I wholeheartedly agree with him that it's good to follow that fun factor, especially if, you want to have fun.
Well said, Dr. Mike.
That being said, I very rarely change the way I play. I have my way I press my bets and stuff. But Raj has given me an idea. How about $22 bet on a hard 4?
Right, because it's
$33 bet
2-2.
on a hard 6.
There you go.
$44 bet on a hard 8 and $55 bet on a 10-10.
All right, I'd like you to do that next time. You're kind of talking about craps, but if you were going through a casino, let's say you were passing a roulette table, you typically do like birthday numbers and things like that. But, would there be some number that just, know?
Do you remember that story I told? This is a while back, but I was in Vegas with a friend of mine, Pam. We were walking by the roulette table, and we had been playing craps, and I had been up quite a bit of money. And she said, Mike, put $100 on the 12. Do you remember this?
I do, yeah. I think you may have mentioned on the show, but for those who haven't heard, go ahead.
And I said, just on the 12, $100? Why not spread it out? No. Bet it on the 12, Mike. Bet it on the 12. Well, while we're discussing that, the wheel spins, and sure enough, 12 came up.
Before you'd been able to make the bet.
Before I've been able to make the bet, And I asked Pam, why 12? And she says, I don't know. I just like that number. Must have been something about the number, something in her life that she liked 12. So people do that. I always tend to pick birthdays and special events, anniversaries, things like that.
Well, okay, so when people think of the two of us, they probably think of me as being pretty rigid in my gambling and doing the same thing over and over again. You're saying, though, that you are also that way. But is there anything on the craps table, like what gets you saying, I hop the such and such? What gets you to make bets like that just out of the blue? Like, suddenly you're making a hot bet, or suddenly you're betting on the 3, or suddenly you're buying the 10 when you haven't been.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's funny you mentioned that, because just yesterday when I was at Diamond Joe, we had so many instances where we were like one number away from hitting the all.
Yeah.
And at one point it was a 3. So I gave the dealer $20, two-way 3 bet. Me and the dealers, $10 each on the 3.
Yeah.
And I did that for about 6 rolls.
So
there's $120 down the 2.
You're not making these unusual, say, for you bets on a whim. It's more like, we need a 3 for the all tall small. Okay, so you'll bet the 3. Yeah.
Right. I make some odd bets every once in a while, but it's usually because it's something I want to happen.
Yeah.
Like I'm hoping that this will happen. Or the box man said yesterday at one point, I think the next roll's a 10. So,
that's good.
So
that's good salesmanship on his part. Yeah.
Yeah. Two-way hop on the 10. And of course it was like an 8 or something. But stuff like that, I'll throw stuff out there if somebody says, I got a feeling. But yeah, I'm pretty rigid on my pressing and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't change that much.
Yeah, that is
I don't know
true.
what number would come up in your life on a daily basis that would make you want to bet it.
The only thing I can think of, my 21st trip to Las Vegas happened to be the one where we stayed at Bob Stupak's Vegas World. And since it was 21, I really emphasized blackjack on that trip, right? Probably played way more blackjack than craps. That's about the only thing I can remember ever doing.
And how did that work out?
I think I won like $10 for the trip. I think it was okay.
I'll
have to go back and look. I keep records on that kind of thing. So,
Well, if I ever get like a number keeps popping up all week, then I'll bet that. Of course, it'll probably be something like, 103 or something. I'm like, well, how do I bet?
How do you do that? Yeah, you got to figure out different ways. Well, I'll bet $10 on the 3, or should I bet $103?
$103 on a 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Well, Raji, good luck on your trip. Hope you have some good luck.
He kills them there.
Yeah. Okay. We've got a poker tournament coming up, and we've gotten a lot of people contacting us like, hey, is the poker tournament happening? And yeah, we are kind of waiting here to the last minute because as we record this, it's a week away. So it's coming up here.
Yeah, it's next Sunday.
Yep. On Sunday, March 12th, we're going to have our 6th semi-annual You Can Bet on That poker tournament on PokerStars. As usual, it is going to be at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And don't forget, it is the first day of daylight saving time. So, for us old folks, make sure you set your clocks before you go to bed. So
set it forward, too.
Yeah, make sure you set it the right way. So, again, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, that's 10 Pacific Time. I want to say something up front. You don't need to register early for the tournament. There isn't a limit on the number of players who can play. The reason we mention this is because in the past, we've had a lot of players who have registered for the tournament, but then end up not showing up. But they're still taking up a seat. If you don't unregister, you still show up, and you're seen in your seat as, not having logged in. And yeah, you just get blinded off, but it affects the way players who do show up play, especially if you've got a lot of no-shows on a single table. So you can register any time before the tournament starts. In fact, you can even register up until 20 minutes after the tournament starts. We've got a little grace period there. So no reason to register early if you're not sure you're going to play. And if you do register for the tournament and it ends up you can't play, please unregister. Okay, let's get on to the details. As always, it's going to be on PokerStars, $20,000 in play money chips to register. And remember, PokerStars gives you $15,000 chips every 4 hours. Just click on the free chips button on the PokerStars homepage. So again, it'll cost you $20,000 in play money chips. It is no limit Texas Hold'em. We'll start with $3,000 in your stack. We will have hourly breaks. If you're already in our PokerStars home game group, you can sign up for the tournament right now. If you're not yet in our group, send us an email at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com with your email address and your PokerStars username. If you don't yet have a PokerStars username, just go to PokerStars.net, download the app, and sign up. It doesn't cost anything. And again, we'll be using their Play Money tournament option. We will be giving out some prizes. First place, you'll get a $100 Amazon gift card. Second place, it'll be a $50 card. Third place, $25. And we'll give $25 Amazon cards to each player that eliminates me and Dr. Mike. And also Timothy Lawson over at The Better Life says he will give $25 to whomever eliminates him. Probably be about 4 hours from beginning to end. Anything else, Dr. Mike?
No, at the end of the show, I'll have some helpful hints for people.
Okay.
So stay tuned for those.
Oh, I'm sure everybody's going to really enjoy that, Dr. Mike. Good. Thank you for that. All right, so looking forward to that. Just a week away. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, please go to our page first, youcanbetonThat.com, and click through our Amazon link towards the top of the page. All right, let's get to our voicemails. First up is Eric.
Hi, Mike and Dr. Mark.
Huh?
This is Eric calling from K-Town. I just wanted to call and leave a message regarding my Las Vegas trip. I stayed at the Linq. I am a Diamond Plus member, so I got it comped. The problem with the Linq, and it was the first time I ever stayed there, was that the parking there is very confusing. And the very first time I went through, it was a little stressful and it was kind of late in the day. But eventually I got there and I figured it out. So that's kind of a downer. That's probably one of the big things why I wouldn't want to stay at the Linq, but it's still not as bad as Caesars. The last time I stayed at Caesars, only like one or two of the elevators for the huge parking structure worked and people got backed up, and that is such a hassle. Anyway, played at the Linq, didn't have much luck there. I'm more of a video poker player, so I went downtown and I played at the Fremont. I played on their individual bubble craps. I did really well there. I have a theory about that, in which I'll probably email you because their bubble craps is different than other bubble craps. And I guess I'll explain to you in the email. Also, I got another $1 Royal Flush on my Bonus Poker Deluxe at the Fremont. So I was very happy with that. It's my first Royal of the year. I got 2 last year. Overall, it was a very good trip. It was still kind of crowded. I would maybe stay at the Linq. It was cool. It was a nice place. Just not so sure about the parking. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Thanks, Eric. Yeah, he sent us an email kind of detailing these things he was seeing at the individual bubble craps. Basically, he saw different machines, same manufacturer, but with different sized dice. And he was getting big wins on certain machines that had, these different dice. So he sent me this email. I think he just got lucky. I don't think that these dice are resulting in anything beyond the typical bell curve of your random numbers coming up. But it is interesting that some of these machines have, why the different size dice? What has the company seen that is happening that would make them want to have like bigger or smaller dice in them? So anyway, that was that.
Well, I think the bigger dice are to accommodate us older people.
Oh, so you can see them?
So I can see them better, yeah. And also, bigger dice are funner. And that's from Mike James there.
I think maybe if the dice were so big that they barely fit into the bubble and they just kind of bounce up and, never spin at all and just keep landing on the same number. Yeah, maybe they would change the dice in that situation. Maybe that's what was happening.
Or maybe the dice are so small, you can't even read them. It's so small, it's just 7 out.
The sensor can't even read them, so it just comes with a random number every time, right?
Yeah.
Could be a 3. Let's call it a 10.
He's right about the Linq. Oh, my God. That parking structure is ridiculous. It's terrible. And I kind of like playing there because where the craps tables are, you can watch a lot of people walking around.
Yeah.
It's kind of by check-in there, and I like to watch people. But honestly, if I was driving along the strip and, you said, hey, let's go to the Linq, I'd say, nah, I don't want to deal with that parking structure. Let's go somewhere else, like Harrah's is better or something.
Well, don't they share a parking structure, Harrah's and Linq? I guess it's easier to get into Harrah's from the parking structure.
It's easier to get into
Harrah's. Yeah. That's true, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
The one you're trying to get into Linq, it's very confusing. Remember, Phil lost his car there.
Oh, that's right. We had to walk him back. Well, I think I went this way. I think I went over here. That's right.
He couldn't find his car, and it's just because that parking lot is just really confusing.
I will say I'm glad Eric also mentioned Caesars. We haven't self-parked at Caesars for a while, but yeah, that parking structure is way on the other side of the casino from, the check-in area. Yeah, you've really got to lug your belongings a long way to get there.
Yeah, they should have some kind of commuter jet that takes you from the parking structure to the front door.
Welcome to Caesar's Palace. You're a mere 30 minutes away from check-in. Please line up behind me.
Right. Food and beverages will be served for those in need.
Well, congratulations, Eric, on hitting another Royal. We're still looking, of course.
Yeah, I'm never going to get one.
All right. Next call.
Gentlemen, this is Adam from Denver, Colorado calling. Been a little while since I've called, but I recently got back from actually a 7-day trip to Vegas. It was a part work, part fun trip to Vegas. My wife was there for work, so I tagged along. We did a little bit of fun and a little bit of work while we were there. Figured I'd tell you about the craps conditions in Vegas. We started out over at Gold Coast. They still do have $10 tables, even weekend nights, Friday, Saturday nights. So that's good. I mean, I know it's not right on the strip, but not far from the strip either. After that, we walked over to the Palms. They had $15 tables there. Also, they were very busy. It was a Friday night. They were quite busy, which was actually nice to see because, well, they were closed entirely for a couple of years during the pandemic, but even before the pandemic, I felt like they had kind of fallen off and were never busy at all when we went in there. So it was nice to see. They were very busy and people seemed to be having a good time. Aside from that, we did go downtown for a short bit. Unfortunately, there, with the exception of the Downtown Grand, which did have a $5 craps table, although it was packed when we went by there, almost every other casino in downtown was $15 limits for craps, which even El Cortez, which to me is kind of insane. So we didn't stay downtown too long. We went back to the strip. Thankfully, up and down the strip, even weekend nights, there were $15 tables to be found at most casinos. So that's good. It seems like $15 is sort of the new $10 table. But I was happy to find that there were $15 tables. One interesting thing, I was playing one night at the Venetian at a $15 table. And then next to the table I was playing at, they opened up a new table for $25. And it sat literally empty for about 25, 30 minutes or so. Literally not a single person went up to play it. And then lo and behold, they actually lowered the limit to 15. And sure enough, shortly after that, that table filled up and they had 2 full tables of $15. So who knows? Maybe there is some hope that casinos actually have at least some semblance of a brain. Also, a couple other random notes. Flamingo, for some reason, had only $25 tables with the exception of their roll to win. They were one of the few places that still had a roll to win table, which was 15. But aside from that, all of their tables were 25, which seems a bit out of place for Flamingo. Anyway, I think that's about it. Love your guys' show and keep up the good work. All right, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Adam. If you were to ask me, hey, which Caesars property would have lower limits, Flamingo might be a place that I mention. I am surprised that they only had $25 tables.
Really? And the Flamingo's so nice.
Okay.
I'm surprised you would say that.
All right.
They really need to really refurbish that casino.
Yeah,
you think?
For being this iconic classic, one of the few remaining original, that's in quotes, Las Vegas Strip casinos. You're right. It is a little worn, and we've talked about it before. We never intend to go to Flamingo to play. Usually it's because we're walking between, Bally's and Harrah's or something like that, and we just stop by. So
right. Every time I go in there, I think to myself, God, why don't they redo this place?
Well, maybe
it just looks pretty run down.
Yeah, I agree, but maybe they don't have to because it is so iconic.
Right. That's true. Yeah. Yeah, no reason to spend money and make it look good.
Well, and Caesars has kind of a reputation for not putting a lot of money into keeping up their properties. So,
well, one good thing, nobody's ever spilt anything on the carpet there. So.
That is nice. Yeah, it's like 50, 60 years running now. No spills at Flamingo. That's quite
no spills. No reason to change that carpet.
Well, it's good to hear that Palms is getting crowds. Now, Palms is owned by the San Manuel tribe, who also run the Yamava here in California. And we continue to hear good things about how they run these places and how they treat their customers. Your brother goes up to Yamava quite a bit, gets a lot of offers, and raves about the place. So, maybe this is spilling into Palms as well. He
gets a lot of free play and a lot of food offers, for like dinners and things like that. Yeah. And like all the Southern California casinos, they give a lot of gifts out. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if they do the same at Palms.
Yeah, it could be, yeah.
They have a lot of local people who get flyers and, can get their free play every day or get their gift or whatever draws them in there.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know about you. We're not locals, but I'm continually getting stuff from Palms. Yeah. And it's because of that one time that you and I went to, it was called San Manuel at the time, now Yamava. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I know. I've been getting them too. So, I mean, they probably have a really good marketing strategy, and I'm sure that works well for them.
Yeah. Next time we go to Vegas, though, we need to go to the Palms. We talked ourselves out of it last time we were there. It was like, should we go to Palms or the new Virgin, run by Mohegan Sun, right? And boy, that was a mistake. We hated that. That was not a good experience. All right, let's hear from Jason. He has a little more information about this Venetian offer that people have been getting.
Hey, Mark, Dr. Mike, this is Jason from Atlanta. I just wanted to call about the guy who got the Venetian offer. I'm a Caesars player. I go up to Cherokee all the time. I take advantage of their partnership with Atlantis every year. Sometimes I take another trip to Atlantis in the Bahamas. Well, just last week on the flyer, Atlantis had sent me a flyer for the Venetian offering 4 free nights and $100 in free play. Maybe the gentleman didn't actually see on the flyer that it came from the Bahamas if he has ever taken the Caesars partner trip to the Bahamas. Maybe their players club had sent them that. But I just wanted to call and comment on that. Went out to Southern California for the college playoff championship, and we stayed at Harrah's. Loved the property. Wish we could have played with y'all. Anyway, and I hope y'all have a nice day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Thanks, Jason. Thanks. So this Venetian offer was being sent by Atlantis coming
Which
from
is
the
owned by
Bahamas?
Caesars?
Well, no. Atlantis is not owned by Caesars. They have a deal with Caesars.
Oh, they have
where
a deal with
people can get
Caesars.
these trips here. So,
yeah, well, who owns Atlantis?
Well, I think it's a separate location, but I don't think it has any direct association with Venetian. That's why it's sort of interesting. It's like, okay, Atlantis is sending a Venetian offer. So now I'm even more confused, right? It's like, getting an offer from Caesars for MGM Grand, right? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's odd. Well, J. Edgar Hoover, why did he have to die?
Yeah.
We still have access to some of this.
Well, I don't know that he was that great a guy.
Yeah, he has some issues.
He had some issues, yeah. So you're saying if he hadn't died, we'd have the answers to all these questions?
Oh, yeah, we know everything.
Okay. All right, well,
he was a man ahead of his time.
The mystery continues. I mean, it is interesting information. So if you get these offers from Venetian, for people who've never played before and they're getting these offers, maybe look at the fine print or the return address or where these offers are originating from. Interesting. All right, next call.
Hey, guys, this is Bryce from San Diego, Chula Vista. This is my longtime listener, first-time caller. I've been listening to you guys for about 5 years now, I feel like, give or take, ever since I turned 21. But I've never made a call. I'm a huge craps fan. That's how I got into your guys' podcast. I just was exploring one day and came across you guys. Got a little upcoming trip to Vegas this upcoming Sunday, and just looking forward to getting out there, getting some craps in. I don't really enjoy California craps with the cards, but I do love throwing dice. I am a dice setter, but I do not believe it influences the outcome, so I'll keep my rolls quick and sweet. That way Dr. Mike can be out there with me getting those inside numbers hit. All right, guys. It's always a pleasure hearing your podcast. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks for reaching out, Bryce, and good luck on your trip here. He's talking about setting the dice and getting them off quickly. I was listening to Crap Vegas, and, both of them like a fast craps game too, kind of like we do. So we don't like when people are fiddling with the dice taking that long. And I started thinking about you. You don't spend a lot of time, setting the dice and getting them out, but you do spend a lot of time making your bets on the come-out roll. Oh, my gosh. That's not a fast game, Dr. Mike.
Well, it's the come-out roll, Mark. It's a time for relaxation and reflection on the upcoming roll.
Okay.
So I like to give people a little bit of time to plan their strategy. It's a favor I'm doing.
Okay, so it's a courtesy that you're providing for people.
Yes.
Got it, Dr. Mike.
Explanation?
All right, next up is our buddy Ariel.
Hey, Dr. Mike and Mark. This is Ariel. We met over there in San Diego, Harrah, San Diego. So I just finished listening to the last episode, and I wanted to share some notes. So a couple of things. So I visited Atlantis because one of the callers that mentioned Atlantis. So it was a great place, but there was one experience that I had at Atlantis that was kind of interesting. So playing craps, high roller shows up. There's a $25 table, and he buys in for I think $20,000. So they bring out the chips, like the big chips, for the dealers to be able to handle the bets that he was having. So he was playing, I was just, watching, playing my quarter bets or whatever. And one of the dealers, when the high roller left and he was about to clean the high denomination chips from his side, palmed a $500 chip. I saw it. He didn't do the clearing of his hands or anything. He just palmed it and then he just walked away, right? For the new guy to kind of show up. So I know you discussed that on the call where it's like, hey, if somebody makes a mistake and they give you extra change, would that be something you call out? Well, what about if you catch somebody stealing from the actual casino? I don't want to get involved, right? Because after that, maybe 20 minutes later, there's a bunch of guys in suits just scouring the area, but that's kind of scary. Anyway, just wanted to let you guys know about my experience there. All right. Great job, by the way, and everything that you guys do. Take care.
All right. Thanks, Ariel. Yeah,
thanks, Ariel.
An interesting question. Now, if I saw somebody stealing from a player, one player stealing from another player, or some strange situation, an employee stealing from a player, I definitely call attention to it, right? Hey, security. But this is interesting. An employee stealing from the casino. He palmed a $500 chip. Or let's say you even saw a customer stealing from the casino in some way or cheating in some way. Would you say anything? What do you think, Dr. Mike?
Gosh, that's another one of those questions that kind of depends on circumstances, right?
Well, how about Ariel's specific situation? I'll just say right now.
Oh, I would have said something.
You would have said something.
Yeah.
Really? Because I was about to say I wouldn't have said anything either, like Ariel. It's like,
it kind of depends on who the dealer was, if you knew him.
Well, okay, let's say this situation, he's in Atlantis, probably doesn't know the dealers, right? Because he doesn't go there very often. So let's say you're at some casino you've never been to before, and you see a dealer palming a chip. Okay, it's illegal. It's wrong what he's done, clearly. Mm-hmm. But
and it's a lot of money.
Yeah, but why introduce yourself into this situation? Yeah, I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah, you might end up swimming with a fish.
That is something to consider, right? But suddenly you're involved in a situation that is not really any of your business, in that it doesn't affect you. Let me put it that way. It's not that it's not your business, it just doesn't affect you. Yeah, I can't see
It's a tough situation.
Yeah, I agree it is tough.
But, the quickest way to devolve society is when good men ignore problems.
What about what I said earlier, if you saw somebody stealing from a player?
Oh, that I definitely would report.
Yeah.
Might get my ass beat, but I would definitely report that.
Yeah. So again, an interesting sort of ethical, moral discussion to be had. But I think I would have been like Ariel. I just wouldn't have said anything. And Mike, maybe it is because when he's telling the story, I'm thinking, I'm in unfamiliar territory. I only have been to Atlantis once. Now, let's say, Mike, we're out at Harrah, Southern California, and you see a dealer who you see there all the time. We like all the dealers there. Let's say you saw a dealer doing that, palming a chip. What would you do?
Well, I'll tell you what. First of all, that probably never happened there.
Oh, I agree. I know that's is a real hypothetical. I can't see any of the dealers we know they're doing that, but
no, I can't either. But if I did, geez, that's a rough question. It might be prudent not to say anything to the casino, but just say something to the dealer. Maybe that's not the wisest thing.
I don't know about that. What about pulling the floor aside and saying, you might want to keep an eye on the dealers and the chips and not, specifically mention anybody.
Right.
But even then, you're likely to get this dealer in trouble. Well, and he or she would deserve it.
The first thing I'd do if I was a pit and somebody told me that, I'd just call up to the camera and say, rewind that like an hour and watch that whole thing.
Yeah, right. I just heard from the table that Mark and Dr. Mike are at. Yeah, go rewind that about an hour. Watch every dealer. Yeah.
Maybe I'll just yell out real loud, thief, cheater, and just do a lap around the pit with my hands up yelling, thief, thief.
Dr. Mike, what are you talking about? Oh, you've got to see for yourself. Rewind the tape.
Just giving you a heads up.
Well,
that's a bad situation.
Yeah, it's definitely a bad situation.
And hopefully we never find ourselves in that situation.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll see Ariel when I'm down there again.
Yeah.
Last few times he hasn't been there.
Well, you're down here so infrequently now that
I know, but he's kind of a regular.
Yeah, he was at least. Yeah, hopefully he's still going there. Yeah. All right, next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, Anthony from Missouri here. Just calling in, getting married in July, and am going on my bachelor party to Vegas in mid-May. Bringing some guys that have never been before, don't really gamble as much. I frequent out there with my dad and have been out quite a bit. So I do gamble, nothing crazy, no $25 tables usually, unless they're the only things available. So my question to you all is, if I have some guys that I'm bringing that don't gamble as much, what should I do in terms of that? Don't know what their bankrolls will be or what they want to do. Trying to bring them downtown one night for some lower minimums and also to Ellis Island, hopefully, as well. But usually my dad and I, when we go, we're gambling. A lot of the time we're there. We'll take some breaks here and there. We have some things planned, of course, too. But just wanted your thoughts on what we could do maybe or how to get them not force them to gamble, but can have them maybe gamble with me and be more comfortable. Appreciate it. Thanks for the show, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
All right. Well, first of all, congratulations, Anthony, on your wedding coming up. It sounds like maybe he's got some of the extracurricular things already worked out, like they're probably going to go to a club and have a nice meal, things like that. So it sounds like he's specifically talking about gambling, what to do with people who maybe have small bankrolls, have never gambled before.
I guess I thought he was asking about the bachelor party. I had a lot of great ideas.
It sounded more like the question was just for gambling because, you talk about stuff you can do in Vegas. Sure. I mean, beyond just clubs and good meals, you can go, fire a machine gun. You can go ride
a race car,
all sorts of different things like that. But specifically for gambling, you know what I might do, Anthony, is take your friends to some stadium gaming where you can all sit together.
Hey, there you go.
All be playing, the same hands if you want, and definitely playing lower minimums. And then if they like that, then maybe you can graduate to a real table game or, something like that.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I was thinking also you could do a community slot pull, depending on how many guys are there.
That's true, sure.
If you all wanted to put in, like, say there was 5 guys, you put in $20, you got $100, you put it in a slot machine and hopefully hit something.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Not a high limit slot machine, but just a regular slot machine.
You're all
putting
slot machine.
Each guy gets
then you're only investing $20 and you might hit something that paid $300 or $400.
That's a good idea too.
Or something. Then if you want to go downtown and look for some cheaper tables, that'd probably be fun.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And then you can community bet there too.
That's true too. We've talked about that. The craps tables, if again, he's got some friends who aren't gamblers and have small bankrolls. Yeah, the minimums at the craps tables are a little scary right now, but you can combine your money. Your friend Jerry, he bets on the 6, and then Todd, he bets on the 8, but it's all, community money. Yeah.
Right. That's a good way to play, actually.
Yep. All right. Next call.
Hey, Mark and Dr. Mike, BT from Chattanooga. Just wanted to call in with a double trip report. Made 2 trips in January. One, we went to Vegas, stayed on the Strip at Paris. I'd never stayed there, usually Planet Hollywood, but wanted to try it out and absolutely loved it. Maybe I'm getting older, but the carpet just felt so good to walk on after you've been walking for 12 to 16 hours one day. Walking on padded carpet at Paris versus that hard concrete, it feels like at Planet Hollywood, made a big difference, believe it or not. But the tables, for whatever reason, were cheaper at Paris. They were mostly 10 and 15 versus what seemed like 15 and 25 at Planet Hollywood. Even had $25 baccarat all day at Paris. So we had a really good time. For whatever reason, the tables just couldn't get hot for us, but we played slots again and won 2 hand pays at 2 different places on slot machines. So had a good time. And then took a birthday trip with a buddy of mine down to Biloxi for the first time. We did stay at Harrah because that's where the comps are at for us. And we had a different experience with the room than you had. We actually got off the elevator and noticed how clean it did smell. It was almost like they had just shampooed the carpets. The rooms were, typical room, not awful, not great, just bed was okay. Room was clean, no real gripes, nothing surprising there. But the casino there was probably one of the worst casinos I think I've been in. It was just like being in somebody's basement that had a big basement full of some gaming devices. Once you go out to Beau Rivage and Hard Rock and you see what they have to offer, I just cannot see staying and gambling at Harrah's there. So it was a little disappointing, but overall we absolutely fell in love with Biloxi, maybe more than Vegas, just because we can drive there. It's 7 hours from Chattanooga. Tables were cheaper. People were nice. The local scene, there were a lot of nice bars we went to, a lot of restaurants. People were nice. Overall, we had an amazing trip. I will say, while we were there at the Golden Nugget, which we also loved, the guy at the table next to us, Blackjack, won the progressive. He had 2 ace of spades, and then the dealer had an ace of spades turned up, and he won the jackpot of $418,000. So that was pretty exciting to be a part of, to be able to see that. Oddly enough, the guy only left a $100 tip afterwards. You guys have been talking about tipping a lot lately. And we found out actually through the dealers. We stayed there for several hours, and the dealers were telling us about that. They couldn't believe it only left $100. Like to see your thoughts on that. Personally, I would think somewhere around $5,000 would be a good tip for a win of that
You got cut off there. Mike, you were telling me that you got like a round of applause or something from the dealers.
I'm going to save that for the end, Mark. I'm going to tell us.
All right.
I'm going to tell a story.
It has to do with tipping. So
yeah. Well, tipping and people who gambled with me.
Okay.
It's the whole story.
Oh, yeah. You'll have a big story here at the end. Along with
you know what BT would like, though?
What's that?
BT would like to go to the Flamingo because there's like about 6 to 8 inches of dirt and sand under that carpet. It's so comfortable.
But no spilled drinks, just dirt and sand.
Drinks. Just dirt and sand underneath there.
Desert sand.
Funny when he was saying that. Yeah, it is true, though. It's nice when you're on a nice, comfy carpet versus something hard.
Yeah, that's true.
The other thing I was thinking when he was talking about, Biloxi, I wonder... Vegas is having a lot of issues. Now, don't get me wrong. Vegas is Vegas. It's 1 in a million place, right?
Yeah.
I mean, people go there because of the excitement and the quality and the quantity of casinos and stuff. And there's a lot to do. But they are getting like a bad rap. I read a lot of stuff, with the people on the streets and the safety issues and crimes up there. And I'm wondering if people are starting to think, you know what? Why am I going to Vegas? Why don't I go to like Biloxi where it's nicer and friendlier and safer? Why don't I go to my local casino in Southern California or in Iowa at Diamond Joe where things are a little, safer? And sure, it may not be quite the vacation spot or anything, but if you're just, looking for gambling and a good night out, why not? Why go to Vegas?
I think you answered your own question at the beginning, right? There's no place like Vegas, right? There's no place in the world that can offer everything that Vegas offers. So I think that's the reason. And again, we're looking through the lens of two gamblers, right? And what we want for things.
Yeah. I just wonder if Vegas thinks about that, if Tourist Bureau or
I don't think
mayor or somebody thinks, let's clean this up a little bit to get even more people wanting to come here.
I think they do to a certain extent, but at the same time, I don't know that Vegas needs to worry about that too much because people are still coming. But
I understand.
They worry
people
about
are
it
always
going to
go to Vegas.
Yeah.
But like here, I was thinking about this last night at Diamond Joe. They had a live band playing and, they have tons of TVs and they've got all the games on and there's sports betting there. And so if you lived close to a casino like that or within, an hour or two, I would say maybe I'll just go there
that's fine.
4 or 5 times a year instead of a big trip to Vegas.
That's fine if that's all you want. And I think for most people, that wouldn't be enough.
Most people want to ride that roller coaster at New York.
That's the big draw. Yeah, they got to get on that. That's
the big draw.
Well, Mike, we have made our reservations for Biloxi. I assume you have too, because on the last episode, I said I'd be hounding you. I
talked to the host at Diamond Joe yesterday, and she said for me to email her all the specifics
at Diamond Joe, right?
At Diamond Joe.
A Boyd property.
Boyd property, because I can stay at the Boyd property.
Well, that is true. Can they fly you there, though?
Well, she was checking on that.
Really? Now you're being serious here.
I'm serious.
Okay. Yeah. I was just going to give you a hard time.
That's something that I'm going to have to research a little bit. She said, but sometimes instead of flying you, they'll just give you the cost.
Oh, like a voucher that you or something, or like just reimburse you or something like that.
Reimburse you in free play, or let's say your flight costs you $600. Yeah. They're going to give you $600 extra free play or whatever.
Well, gosh, Mike, that would be great because the Boyd property in Biloxi is IP. That's where Tim Lawson is going to be staying. I think you'd enjoy it more than Harrah's. It's interesting because BT was talking about how his room at Harrah's was okay, but he was kind of complaining about the casino. The casino does look like an afterthought, and I think it's the result of the hurricane. The casino used to be on the other side of the road, and so they kind of had to maneuver a little bit. It is kind of an odd layout at the casino. But, oh my gosh, Mike, if you could stay at IP and get your travel costs paid for. Oh, very good. All right.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email her tonight all the info and then ask her about the flight, what she can do. Meantime, I'm going to check on flight prices.
Yeah.
And, what I want to do, and then give her a heads up like, well, this how much it would cost. Could you comp me that? They're pretty good about comping me quite a bit. So,
oh boy, that's
if they could just comp me in free play the flight, that'd be fine.
That'd be good too. Mike, anytime we record, I psych myself up for really nailing you to the wall on these episodes, giving you a very hard time. And I was really prepared to do so with this whole Biloxi thing. And now I got nothing.
I'm on top of it.
Congratulations, sir.
I've even contacted a printer.
Come on.
I did. Took care of that this week. She's going to get back to me with like prices and stuff. And I want to know if she can just do all the artwork too.
For the t-shirts, yeah. All right.
Yeah. Mark, I'm on top of things. I'm a new man.
I'm speechless. Oh my God. All right. Last call.
Hi, Mark and Dr. Mike. This is Dr. Brendan from Indianapolis. Finally got caught up with all of your episodes starting last year. Kind of an interesting little route going through that as I started at the most recent and went backwards. You could definitely tell that the quality got a little bit, I guess, started a little bit funky at the beginning. So it's kind of fun.
But we were in a bathroom.
Listening to your guys' adventure in reverse. Yeah, so we have a lot of listeners in Indianapolis. Perhaps we should do a meetup over here at some point. There are some good casinos, both on the southern border that I know that Mike's visited at one point, but also around the Indianapolis area. Specifically, I want to highlight a trip I took out to Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg. If you go and look on vpfree2.com, it's actually the best video poker in the entire state. And they have full pay machines on basically any game you want. And this was really my first foray into video poker and learning more about that. Traditionally, I'm more of a craps blackjack player, but I said, hey, what the hell? I've been listening to these guys long enough, and they can't hit a royal flush. Maybe I'll get lucky. So I went out there and was playing 25 cent, 9-6 jacks or better, and started to get a little good, started to get on a little roll, and bumped it up to the 50-cent level. So with that, a royal would be $2,000. Lo and behold, right before I was about to leave and cash out, I hit redraw, and yeah, it was a complete throwaway hand and was dealt a royal flush. I'll send that to you just so I can prove my worth here, but that was pretty crazy, hitting my first royal on an absolute nothing garbage hand. The other thing I want to say about Hollywood Lawrenceburg, it's our second largest casino in the state. They got a lot of video poker, a lot of slots, but also a bunch of table games. I haven't tried the craps table there, but it's a $10 craps table. They also have a crapless table and a bunch of blackjack games. All seem to be in about the $10 to $15 range, 3 to 2, with some not so great side bets, which I've got a story about that too. When my friends were out there with me, we were sitting at a blackjack table with a couple of other folks that were playing the side bets, and they were not thrilled with us not playing the side bets and telling us, oh, you could have won so much more money if you had just played the side bet. And well, I was watching this guy hit one of the big ones, like a straight flush or something, and he bled all that money back. So just goes to show you, maybe they were wrong. All right, well, it's great to finally give a call into the show. I'll probably give you another call here on my next trip up to...
You got cut off there. That's pretty good, getting your first royal ever by discarding all 5 cards.
And then having it dealt to you.
Yeah, he sent me a picture. Yeah, that's something else.
I saw it. I saw it.
And he talks about vpfree2.com. Again, a great resource for finding good pay tables on video poker at casinos. And yeah, indeed, Hollywood Casino Lawrenceburg sounds like a great place for video poker players.
Yeah, and southern Indiana there, the Harrah's there in southern Indiana, is very close to Louisville. Well, it's like its neighbor, which is where Chris from the Crap Vegas podcast lives. And he goes to a Boyd property up there in Indiana somewhere. I can't remember the name of it right now, but yeah, maybe we should have like a meetup in that area.
Okay. You're in charge.
Either Indianapolis or Southern Indiana. No, I think Chris should be in charge.
Oh, okay. All right.
He doesn't have enough to do.
Please contact the Crap Vegas podcast for a potential Indianapolis meetup.
Yeah, or Southern Indiana or wherever in that area. That would be fun, though.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's always fun to think about different places that we can go. So,
and I am basically never going to get a royal because I'm saving them for all those nice people out there who get the fun out of hitting a royal.
Yeah, good for you, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, I'm saving them for you, Mark.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. What a guy. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode. We want to thank some people for some recurring donations. Jeremy at the Color Up YouTube channel, James, and Kurt. Thank you very much for those recurring donations. We also got a donation from listener Jerry, Karma donation for March Madness trip to Vegas. Well, good luck on that trip, Jerry. And also a donation from Raji, who we heard from earlier, Karma donation for Vegas trip March 8th through March 12th. Again, good luck on that trip. Hey, be sure to check out our TV listing showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks at youcanbetonthat.com/TV-listings and our list of gambling-related movies at youcanbetonthat.com/movies. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline at 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat and on Facebook at facebook.com/YouCanBetOnThat. Finally, please go to your favorite podcast app and write a review of the show. We love getting your feedback. Now, Dr. Mike, you have a couple things you said were you going to give advice on the poker tournament? Was that one thing? And you were going to talk about a trip?
There's a few things.
All right, I can't remember everything you said you were going to talk about, so just do it.
All right, well, not yesterday, but the Saturday before, I went down to Diamond Joe because, as you remember on our last podcast, Big Lair and Neil said they were going to be there.
Right.
So I went down there and I was playing, and there's Big Lair, and he joined me, and we were doing pretty well. And after a little bit, I saw Neil, and he came over. And then, just on a coincidence, Kevin and Chris, who live up in the Minneapolis area, were there too. So we were all there, and we happened to get on the same side of the craps table. And the rolls were great, Mark. I mean, we were doing so well. Ended up being a big win for me, and everyone else went home winners. So we were all very happy, had a really good time. But a couple things to report about that. Number one, for some reason, there were players on the table who wanted to go to dinner around dinner time.
Oh, God.
So I gave them a big lecture about being prepared. And what you do is you eat this big lunch right before you come to the casino, so you don't have to eat again until about 2 or 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And then you stop at Quick Trip on the way home and get a bunch of food to eat.
Yeah, that's just good advice.
There's a 24-hour Quick Trip near there. Hopefully they took that to heart because they all wanted to eat dinner. I just didn't get it. But anyway, every time somebody said, "Oh, we're going to go to dinner," I'm like, look, like I've told everyone else. It's the same with the tournament, right? You don't need breaks. Before the tournament, you go to the bathroom, you don't drink anything during the tournament, and you eat a big meal right before. You're good for 4 or 5 hours.
It's true. And, if you need to use the restroom, just take your computer with you.
Right.
Yeah, it's online. We will have breaks. We will have breaks on the tournament, everybody.
Anyway, it was a really, really fun time. Can't tell you the last time I enjoyed myself so much.
Oh, that's great.
And so, I was winning really big, and I was tipping pretty heavily, and I was giving money to the other players just to boost their odds up and stuff. And they were all hitting. Yeah. A lot of times I do that and then it doesn't hit. And it's like, oh, well, thanks anyway. No, they were all hitting them. So that was great. And so yesterday, when I went to Diamond Joe, as soon as I walk up to the table, Renee, one of the dealers there, I don't know if you remember her.
Yeah, sure.
She comes up to me and she says, "Oh, gosh, thank you for last week." She said, "We set a casino record for the most tips in one day." Intimating that it was, mainly all these tips I left them. Yeah. I mean, it had to be well over $5,000.
And you were hitting some of the exotic, like the all tall small, that kind of thing. That was
all tall, all small for, I think we hit it once for like $7 or $8 on it, on the all. So anyway, they were all very, very happy. So last night I tried to break that record. I don't think I was successful. It wasn't quite
as good.
Quite as hot a table, but it was fun to hear. And she said to me, she says, "Yeah, there was quite a bit of hollering the next morning when they counted it up."
Well, see, that's part of the fun for you, right?
Yeah.
Mike,
I love
that kind of thing. Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, and I hope everyone, maybe, I don't know how many dealers were on that day, but whatever they were, if they got 200 or 300 extra bucks. That goes a long way.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Good for people. So yeah, that was fun, and of course we were being pretty loud. And when I say we, I mean me.
Yeah, I knew what you meant. The royal we.
Yeah, Big Lair and Neil and Kevin and Chris, they weren't quite as loud as me for some reason. But anyway, yeah, it was really, really fun. I guess we should apologize, too, for people. We should have mentioned the tournament the last couple of episodes.
Yeah, I kind of thought, oh, well, we'll mention it before we play. And then I realized, oh, gosh, we're not giving people a lot of time. But, I'm going to send out an email. And so, yeah.
Well, maybe I'll just add a little something here, a little lecture to everybody. Listen to the podcast the day it comes out. Don't
true.
wait around.
You won't miss anything that way.
You're missing valuable information.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody at the tournament. Good luck, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Did you guys see me? I was on fire tonight. Man, I can't wait to get back to the shore. God, I love gambling!